25 people have died after a bus rolled down a steep embankment in South Africa's coastal Eastern Cape province. The bus was carrying more than 80 mainly elderly people traveling between Butterworth town and a settlement named Chebe. The transport minister says most of the victims were going to cash in their government-issued social grants. President Cyril Ramaphosa says the dead were mainly pensioners and young students. Despite having one of the most developed road networks on the continent, South Africa has among the highest rates of road accidents in the region, owing to speeding and poor maintenance of some vehicles and roads. The Road Traffic Management Corporation data shows that more than 14,000 people died in road crashes on South African roads in 2017. Joining us to speak on this is our South African Bureau Chief, Betty Dibia. Betty, in the words of the country's transport minister, to lose so many lives in a single accident is devastating and shocking. What more do we know about the circumstances surrounding this accident?
Well, you've said most of it, but what we understand from some of the officials who are part of the investigation of the incident or the accident, there was a case of overspeeding. We understand some of those who survived the accident, as you said, 64 people were injured. One of them, a 3-year-old child who was ejected from the vehicle when he was probably about falling down the gorge. So we understand that some of the passengers were talking to the driver to reduce the speed, and he didn't listen to them. And overspeeding is one of the major elements of some of these accidents that we see almost on a daily basis on South Africa's roads. So some of them, one of the survivors is in ICU at the moment. 64 survived, 25 died. And to think that that bus is a 64-seater, so you have more than 80 people, almost 90 people. So overloading is another thing, and these people, mostly pensioners and children, because in South Africa, the SASSA program, the social grant program, covers children and the elderly as well. So they, at the end of the month, they must have been going to get their grants or returning from that when this happened. So it's unfortunate, quite sad in one go to lose so many lives.
Very, very sad. President Cyril Ramaphosa, reacting to this, said the tragedy leaves the country deeply saddened. Are there any plans by the government to support the family of the victims?
Of course, given the age of those people, or even no matter the age, the government usually steps in to help. Part of the statement released by the president when he described the incident as quite sad is that he has directed the government of the Eastern Cape province where this happened to reach out to the families. Probably the funeral arrangements and all that the government may help, and the issue of counseling as well. Here, it's a major part of some of the interventions that the government does when things like this happen. So he's directed the Eastern Cape government to reach out to the families of those who survived and those who have died. That element of counseling as well, and probably support for the families, given that many of them were pensioners, and then he had young children as well as part of it, and probably their mothers too.
But despite having one of the most developed road networks on the continent, South Africa has among the highest rates of road accidents in the region. You mentioned overspeeding as being one of the reasons why. But what is the government doing to change the narrative?
Government can only do, but government, you have massive campaign rollouts all the time. During festive seasons, during regular time of the year, there's the Arrive Alive, that's just one of them. Even the minister himself, Fikile Mbalula, and past ministers, when it's time for heavy traffic on the roads, they go out themselves, reaching out to people, checking people, roadworthiness, enlightening people about overspeeding, because in the country, you have rest stops. If you're tired, please stop. Don't drink and drive. It's like year-round programs, but people usually overlook some of these things. Drive careless, overloading. Not long ago, there was an issue of a car with children, school transport, where you had over 60 children in a small bus. So it's a major problem here. As I said, in this incident, you had 25 people dead and 64 people injured in a 64 or 65-seater bus. That shows you what usually goes on. Overloading is a problem, overspeeding is a problem, road rage is a problem, drunk driving is a problem, and then the issue of roadworthiness as well. But I know that you have the Transport Management Agency, the metros in every city, every major city, every part of the country, telling people about overspeeding, about reducing the speed, about stopping actually to rest. And it's quite safe on the roads, all these rest stops. It's quite safe on the roads in South Africa compared to some other countries. But it's one thing for the government to keep talking, and it's another for people driving to take heed. And many, many lives are lost on a daily basis in the country because of that.
It's really, really tragic, the situation. Thank you so much for